Our thoughts happen so incredibly fast, and not only do they arrive quickly, but we respond to them really quickly. In my last few videos, we were talking about how our thoughts are ultimately connected to how we feel and how we act throughout our day. We also covered different types of unhelpful thoughts. So if you missed those videos, I'm going to link them here for you so you are all up to speed. That whole process of, okay, so I have a thought, this thought is impacting now how I'm feeling, and how I'm feeling is impacting how I'm behaving. That whole process happens in like a split second. It happens so quickly that we often don't even realize that it's happening. We just kind of are going about our day and we think, you know, I've been extra quiet today, I don't really know what's going on with that, or I'm super upset, or I feel really down today, what the heck is going on? So this is where the practice of catching our thoughts comes into play. And really all that I mean by catching our thoughts is raising awareness that we're having a thought. And even how is our thought impacting how I'm feeling, how I'm behaving? Where is this thought coming from? It's being intentionally curious about the thoughts that are running through our mind and how they're impacting us. Now, to be totally honest with you, it takes time to be able to catch our thoughts in the moment of when they're having the most impact. Now, this is not to say that it's impossible. It totally is. Otherwise, I would not be making this video. It's just that the ability to catch our thoughts is kind of like a muscle that needs to be strengthened with repetition, practice, time. You know, actually, I mentioned this in a video a while back when I was talking about mindfulness, so I will link it here for you if you are interested. The more that we practice the technique that I'm gonna run through today, the stronger that awareness muscle gets, so it'll be easier to catch our thoughts in the moment of when they're having the most impact. And not only that, when we can catch them in the moment, we can also start to see other perspectives. We can look at actually what is the most true right now, and is that different from that automatic thought that I had in the first place? And truly, through this type of work, you're gonna kind of wake up one day and it's gonna be second nature to identify these thoughts, identify these unhelpful thoughts, kind of play out how they might be impacting you or how they would impact you. And you can right then and there make a choice. You can think of an alternative perspective or see what is most true right now. And right then and there, you'll make that change. I have witnessed this time and time again with the clients that I work with, and I've seen it in my own life as well. We kind of just have to trust the process. When we are just at the beginning of acknowledging that we have unhelpful thoughts and that they're impacting us in a way that we just don't really like, I typically go through this cognitive behavioral therapy technique called thought monitoring. You can also think of it as a structured journal. Okay, so this is just one form of a thought diary or thought log. They come in a lot of different forms, but I figured for today, this can kind of just give us a good idea of this different categories, I suppose I'll call them, of what we're trying to break down. We're looking at what was going on, that's this situation. What was I thinking during that situation? What were the things that I was telling myself? That's the thoughts. And of course we have how was I feeling? And we can even rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. And then of course we can get to behavioral responses. How was I acting through that situation? Really what we're looking at here is a way that we can of course reflect on what was going on, but we're also able to break down this intangible process of what was the situation? What were the thoughts running through my mind? What was I feeling? How did I behave? We can start to see patterns of different types of thoughts that might be coming up for us. We can notice if we are speaking to ourselves in maybe a really unkind way, and we can see how our emotions are really impacting the way that we act. Ultimately, this practice helps us to build awareness and really just to understand how we respond to situations and how our response really plays a role in how we're feeling in day-to-day life and how we're behaving as well. Now, if you are a worksheet person like me, if you just type into Google thought log, then you can see actually a ton of different options that you can print out if you would like to write it all out into the different categories. Or if you'd rather just not bother with Google or printing anything out or stuff like that. Or maybe if you don't have a printer that you have access to, then you can totally just do this by writing it down on a piece of paper. Just make sure you include these prompts. What was the situation? What do you remember thinking or saying to yourself? How did you feel during or after the situation? Do you remember acting a bit differently than you normally would? Did you become quiet and reserved, or did you lash out in any way because you were feeling really angry? Really just jot down what you remember in those different categories of what was going on, what was I thinking, what was I feeling, and how did I behave? Again, all of these prompts or categories are really just to help strengthen that awareness muscle so we can better understand how we think and how we feel and how we act. Next week, we are going to take this one step further, and we're going to actually look at how we can start to challenge some of these not so helpful automatic thoughts that we have. And if we can challenge them, if we can become curious about them and see, are they true or are they not true, then we can start to change them a little bit so they're more aligned with what we know to be true and also aligned with our values. I hope to see you there.